Medical professionals, what's the funniest thing a patient has said under anesthesia? My dad had to undergo a routine procedure that required anesthesia. Nothing serious, but enough that he wouldn't be fully aware of what was happening. He's Italian, very expressive, loud when he laughs, always dramatic about everything. We were all in the waiting area beforehand. My mom, my sister, and me. I was born in Korea, but adopted by my family when I was very young, so I've always been their daughter, no matter what anyone outside our household might think. The surgery went smoothly, and I was waiting with my parents when my dad was moved to recovery. About 15 minutes later, the nurse came out to check on him. She was Asian, petite, and very professional, calm, efficient, no nonsense. I stayed seated a few feet away in the corner of the room. That's when the chaos started. The nurse rushed back in, trying to suppress a smile, looking flustered, and explained that my dad kept talking as he woke up from anesthesia. He was insisting that he was so glad his daughter was there, that he loved his daughter, and that she had been with him the whole time. The nurses looked confused. They checked the room, asked if anyone else was there, and started calling out names. My dad kept looking at the same nurse, pointing at her, and repeating over and over how happy he was that his daughter was there. Each time he said it, his tone was full of relief and gratitude, like this was some deeply emotional moment. The nurses started to get concerned. They went out to the waiting area to check for my sister, thinking maybe she had come in unnoticed. They were calling her name, looking at other patients' families, trying to figure out who my dad's daughter could be. Meanwhile, he was still in recovery, smiling gently, holding her hand, or at least what he thought was her hand, and expressing all this affection. By the time one of the nurses turned around, they saw me sitting quietly in the waiting area, trying not to laugh but failing. The moment they realized that the daughter my dad kept talking about was me, a petite Korean girl in the corner, they completely lost it. They started laughing hysterically, almost falling over. My dad, of course, hadn't realized that he had been focused on the nurse instead of me, and he kept talking, still very calm and sincere, calling her my daughter, and telling her he loved her. I tried to explain between my own laughter that I was indeed his daughter, and that he had me right there the whole time, but the nurses couldn't stop laughing. The recovery room went from professional calm to controlled chaos in seconds. My dad continued to mumble affectionately, completely unaware of the misunderstanding, and they were all apologizing through their laughter, trying to reset the situation. Eventually, my dad fully woke up, saw me, and it all clicked. He blinked, smiled sheepishly, and said something along the lines of, "Oh, you were here the whole time." The nurses and I all burst out laughing. He just shrugged, still looking a little embarrassed, but there was no malice in it, only confusion mixed with the lingering effects of anesthesia. After that, every visit with him in a medical setting carried some teasing from both the nurses and me. He'd occasionally pretend to reach out to the wrong person, asking where his daughter was, and we would all start laughing again. It became one of those family stories that gets told over and over at gatherings, each time with the punchline being the same. The nurses thought my dad's daughter was the nurse, not me, his actual daughter. It was ridiculous, absurd, and completely harmless. But it's one of those moments I'll never forget. The combination of anesthesia, his earnest Italian personality, and the misunderstanding with the nurse created a surreal comedy that none of us expected. My dad recovered just fine from the procedure, and the incident became legendary among the staff for a while. Every time I think about it, I can't help but laugh. I try